And a story that's just breaking today, Carnival Cruise Line, they're going to pay you not to cancel your cruise. And there's another cruise line out there that will be requiring vaccination for their crew members. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Cruise News Show. I'm your host Tony here with today's cruise news. Couple meaty stories for you. The first one, let's talk about Swan Hellenic. Do you know the brand Swan Hellenic? This brand has been in place. It's a UK brand, been in place for about 70 years. 7 decades, but they don't have any cruise ships right now. They're building new cruise ships to do cultural expedition cruises. Swan Hellenic, important to us today because they've come out and said that their crew members will be required to get a vaccine before they go to work on their cruise ships. Now they only have 2 cruise ships planned right now. They're not completely built. The first one will be delivered in November of 2021. So it gives them some time to work on getting some crew members that have been vaccinated. They have recruitment centers at various countries around the world. And part of the recruitment process is making sure that they are getting their recruited crew members vaccinated in their home country. And look, we're not talking about a lot of crew members. The first cruise ship coming out from Swan Hellenic is called the SH Minerva. The SH Minerva will have 9 decks. It's only about 300 feet long, 120 crew members, 152 guests. Look at that crew member to guest ratio. So in reality, the Minerva not coming online to start cruises until November 2021. So you have this window now where they have to come up with 120 vaccinated crew members over that period of time, you know, good full 8 months. So it doesn't seem like that's going to be that much of a challenge. So it's hard to say that the move here by Swan Hellenic will be indicative of anything broader in the cruising space. But they do join other cruise lines that have mandated a crew vaccine. American Steamboat Company, Victory Cruises. Now you have Swan Hellenic, and then of course Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Line also indicating that crew vaccination will be a priority for them. No word yet whether or not guests on Swan Hellenic will have to be vaccinated, but at least at this point, it is the crew. Vaccination of crew and guests will continue to be a big open question, a big topic as we march forth on this restart of cruising. Quickly, before we jump into this Carnival Cruise news, let me invite you to subscribe to Lido Loca. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Doesn't cost anything. Hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when all the cruise news breaks. Thanks in advance. So there's a lot of details in this Carnival story. This is a big takeaway for people that have Carnival cruises scheduled in May, June, or July of 2021. You got about 6 weeks to make a decision based on the information that I'm giving you. You have to act by March the 30th, 2021. I just want to tell you that in advance. So if you're one of those people, get keyed in right now. And now let me give you the details. So here we go. Carnival released today, February the 15th, 2021, a guest advisory dealing with the disposition of cruises coming up in May, June, and July 2021, giving the people options. Now, if I've heard anything over the last 6 months, it's how tired people are of not knowing whether or not their cruise is going to go, struggling with the idea of should you make final payment, struggling with the idea of should you take the future cruise credit or should you take a refund. I think the cruise lines hear this pain, and so you see Carnival offering a solution to a lot of those questions in the guest advisory that they sent out today. So first and foremost, they have an option for people that are tired of waiting, people that are worn out when it comes to this cancellation cycle. They got cancellation fatigue. So the first thing is if you are just tired of waiting on all of it, you can just get a refund with no penalty. They will refund the form of payment that you paid for your cruise with. If part of that is a future cruise credit, you don't get the refund for the future cruise credit. You retain the future cruise credit, but it has to be used by September the 30th, 2021 to book another cruise no later than April the 30th, 2023. It's also worth noting if you have other kind of charges, your port fees, your taxes, internet, drink package, excursions already booked and paid for, that money will be refunded under this option. All you have to do, cancel your cruise. All those funds will come back to the original form of payment. The only time that you would get a future cruise credit is if you used a future cruise credit to book the cruise that you are canceling. Now, the other option outlined in this advisory, super interesting. If you don't cancel your cruise, if you do nothing, Carnival is going to give you $100 onboard credit for doing nothing, for just not canceling your cruise. How about that? This is an interesting incentive. They're hanging the carrot out there. Hey, don't cancel your cruise and we'll give you $100 onboard credit. So you can take the $100, you can write it out, see whether or not the cruise is canceled. If the cruise is canceled, you will get the benefit they have been giving. They say if the cruise is eventually canceled and you haven't received our enhanced value offer, that means you can't stack value offer on top of value offer, you get a future cruise credit for the amount of money that you paid. If your cruise was 5 days or less, you get $300 onboard credit. If it is longer than 5 days, you get a $600 onboard credit. It's an interesting proposition. You have to ask yourself why. Why are they dangling this $100? Well, I think it has a lot to do with final payment date. The current policy for Carnival Cruise Line around final payment date, if your cruise is 5 days or less, your final payment is due 75 days before the cruise. If your cruise is longer than 5 days, then your final payment is due 90 days before the cruise. So I looked at the 90-day mark. Right now, between here and May the 1st, and there are cruises scheduled for Carnival on May the 1st, 75 days. So either way, if you have a cruise on May the 1st, you're already paid that final payment date. So this might not be a thing that you're thinking about. May the 15th is 89 days from now. June the 1st is 106 days from now. June the 15th is 120 days from now. July the 1st is 136 days from now. July the 15th is 150 days from now, and July the 31st is 166 days from now. So the reason I mention these dates is just to illustrate that if you have one of these cruises booked, you are probably right up against your final payment date. I know throughout this pandemic, there's some people I've talked to that said, look, I only had $50 down on the cruise. I just didn't even call. I just didn't call and cancel. I just said, $50, I'll let it go. Well, you do have options. That's what I'm trying to tell you here. You do have options. But beyond the options, I think the obvious question is, why is Carnival doing this? Just the quickest of recaps. If you have a Carnival cruise booked in May, June, or July of 2021, you have two options. You can cancel your cruise for a full refund, or you can do nothing and receive $100 onboard credit from Carnival. The only thing is you have to act by March the 30th, 2021. And again, go through all those details that I covered already. So what is Carnival doing? Why are they doing this? I feel like there's two options. Option number one is that they are confident that cruises will happen during this time period. Now, of course, the natural question, if they're confident, why would they give people an extra $100? I think it's to keep people from canceling their cruises so that they're not struggling to fill up the cruise ships when they start back up. That's one option. Of course, the other option is that they are not confident that these cruises will go in May, June, or July, and they want the money. So they're offering the $100 incentive to incentivize people to pay off their cruises, leaving money on deposit with the cruise line as part of their operational profile. I think the last time I looked at it is when Carnival released their earnings, Carnival Corporation. They had about $10 billion that they had access to, and I believe close to $2.5 billion of those dollars were deposits that customers had made, were payments that customers had made for future cruises. So it could be about continuing to keep money in the coffers, in the war chest there for Carnival Cruise Line. Regardless of Carnival's motivation, I do just want to remind people that are affected by this, you have until March the 30th, 2021 to make a decision. Again, you can do nothing, or there are some options for you. The question for the comments is this: do you have a cruise booked during this time period? What will you do? Do you find these options helpful? And for everybody else, what do you think it means? Let's have that conversation below. Thank you so much for watching the show today. Please show your support by hitting the like button. You got to check out this video I did about the absolute must things I'm gonna do once cruising resumes after this. This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, We'll see you on the Lido. Bye.